Alright, now the Resident Evil 4 remake has been out for a while. I wanted to take a look back at the original game and see what it did better or differently to the remake. I think whichever way you look at it, both games are absolutely incredible in very different ways, especially from playing both of them as much as I have already. And I do kind of want to take a look at what the original did better or differently that worked well over the remake. So without any further ado, let's just get into it. Alright, so first things first, the Resident Evil 4 remake is a very serious horror game. It doesn't really get rid of all of the jokes in the game. There are still some one-liners there that Leon pulls off that really land well. But all in all, it's a very serious, very toned down from the comedic side of things, and a very well done horror game. But the original Resident Evil 4 really does catch that Resident Evil feeling in a bottle really well. You know, the characters are really likeable, all of them are really well done, they're all very unique, and the jokes are there, the over-the-top moments are there. It very much does feel like a B-movie horror game, and it definitely feels like it's a lot more light-hearted, but at the same time, there are moments in the original game where it is definitely a horror game. For example, I really do think the regenerator introduction in the original game is far better than it is in the remake. I don't know what it is about the remake regenerators. I just don't really see them as like this big spooky thing that happens. I don't know if it's because I knew it was coming in this one, and when I played the original for the first time I didn't know it was coming, but I think they just feel better in the original game, and I think they're much more well done. Also, the castle sequence as well in the original game, the enemies you fight in the castle, they sound a lot more creepy in the original game. The chanting, the constant chanting in the background is a lot more creepy and off-putting, but in the remake, it's still good, don't get me wrong, but it just feels like they're kind of talking to you. But in, the original, it feels like they're trying to really, like, mess with you, and it's definitely a better experience there. In terms of the story, people do say the story is slightly different, and in some areas it is different, especially the relationships between the characters and the overall kind of, the development of the characters themselves over time feels a lot better in the original game than it does in the remake. Well, it's very good in the remake, don't get me wrong, but I do prefer how it kind of pans out in the original game. Now, in terms of the gameplay, objectively, the remake has a more fluid and better gameplay system, but the original still feels really good. Though I can't tell you how many times I went back after I played the remake and tried to parry an attack in the original game and got hit in the face. So you get used to the parry really quickly and you kind of miss it when it's not there. But one thing I think the original did better than the remake is the kind of the aiming system. And the shooting system in the remake is not as good as the original. What I mean by that is the remake uses a crosshair system which has a bit of bloom to it, so it's not entirely accurate. And you can buy the laser sight attachment, which makes your shots 100% on point every single time. But in the original game, like every handgun and pretty much all actual firearms in the game have the laser pointer system, and it does feel better. It does feel more responsive, and I do prefer it over like an RNG kind of crosshair system. But that's just me, and you can kind of obviously make that happen in the remake by just buying the laser sight from the merchant, but the original is just there straight out the gate. And also the Red 9 in the original game just feels so much better than the remake. I don't know what it is. I couldn't actually put my finger on what it was that was different, but the original Red 9 beats out the remake Red 9 every single day, and it's not even close, in my opinion. I just prefer how it works. In terms of the actual game's content, obviously there are some differences between the remake and the original game. For example, U3 isn't in the remake, at least not yet. There are kind of speculations going around that U3 will appear in separate ways, the Ada campaign, but in the main game, it has been cut. The fire room in the castle has been cut. If you don't know what that was, basically it was a room full of lava and like these fire fountains that had like these fire-breathing dragon statues on them that you had to destroy. It was really weird, and the Salazar statue chase sequence is gone too. The statue still exists in the remake, but it's smaller and stationary and just breathes fire, so maybe part of me thinks they kind of combined the two sections there, but it's gone. And people are kind of hoping that some of the cut content does get reintroduced in the Separate Ways DLC. At the very least, I think U3 will probably appear, as well as the Vertigo, the second one that just disappears in the main game. If you didn't know, you have the main Vertigo fight in the original and the remake, which is the one with the nitrogen kind of tubes. And the second one kind of gets taken away in the Salazar fight at the end of the castle, but in the remake, the second one just kind of stops existing. And I maybe think that Ada fights it and kills it. I could be wrong, but it's interesting how it just stops existing. So I'd imagine Separate Ways will probably reintroduce that one in some way. Maybe you fight it. Who knows? But yeah, that's pretty much going to do it. I think overall, like I said at the start, both games are brilliant in their own ways. If you prefer a more serious tone of Resident Evil 4 play the remake. If you prefer a more light-toned, bit funny, bit kind of not taking itself as serious original game, or if you just prefer the original game in general, it's still there to play. Like I said, before the 4 remake even came out, the original is still very much an accessible game. It's pretty much out on everything, and that really makes me think, you know, it'd be really cool if some point down the line, I know it's been asked for a million times over, but if we got the original trilogy on new consoles, it'd be really good to have that feeling as well of playing the original game of Resident Evil 2 or the remake of Resident Evil 2 and playing your preference, because right now those games, unless you have like a PS3, which I fortunately still do, or some kind of emulation on PC or whatnot, it's very difficult to easily get hold of them. So hopefully some point down the line Capcom do kind of port them to new consoles and make them easier to get hold of on PC, but we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Remember to leave a like on the video if you did enjoy, and maybe leave a comment on which one you prefer, the original game or the remake. I'm always interested to know what you guys think. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Remember to subscribe for more Resident Evil content every single day. Thank you for watching again, and I'll catch you in the next one.